I've got a strong feeling that Palworld is going to end up being a game that flew under a lot of people's radar, similar to Valheim, but ends up being a massive success. With a launch date of sometime in January of 2024, Palworld is creeping up quickly, and I am going to cover everything we know so far about this upcoming survival game that is most commonly described as Pokemon with guns. Starting off with the release date, unfortunately, we do not know the exact day. All that we do know is that it is coming out sometime in January of 2024, which could technically be 4 days from now if we are lucky, or 34 days at the most, I suppose. The exact day of the release was meant to be announced in their final trailer that was scheduled for the 18th of December, but unfortunately that did get delayed. And from what I have been able to find out about this over on Twitter is that the trailer is delayed until at least January. So if that is the case, unless the final trailer drops right alongside the launch of the game, I would expect the game to end up coming out sometime in late January. Keep an eye on the channel because we are going to be covering a ton of Palworld. I plan on covering this game from top to bottom, and if it is anything like Craftopia, which is another game developed by the same company, we are looking at some pretty wild systems to be diving deep into. Speaking of diving deep though, we should probably start off here in the shallow end with some of the basics about Palworld, just to catch everybody up to speed. For example, we know for sure that the developers plan to release the game with at least 100 pals. 48 of these pals have already been revealed in their ongoing Pal Deck series that they have running over on YouTube. We have yet to see if any of the pals evolve, but you can obviously take them into battle, with different pals offering different gameplay opportunities, such as some of them shielding you from bullets, and even some of them dropping some heals on you. There seems to be a little bit more to these pals than meets the eye. Even several times throughout multiple of the trailers, we have seen these things helping out with tasks around the homestead, such as gathering and processing, and it really is going to be interesting to see how deep you can take the usefulness of each pal in the game. Let me know down in the comments if you have any plans for your base in Palworld. But now that we have some of the general information out of the way, let's go ahead and move a little bit deeper and break down 2 of the tutorials that Pocket Pair have released for the game so far. The first tutorial I'm going to go over goes a little bit more in depth on how you will use your pals, as well as it demonstrates on how the capturing mechanic will go. Capturing them is about as simple as you would expect it to be, meaning that, you do enough damage to raise the capture rate to a reasonable percentage, and then you throw the ball at the pal. Once you start catching the pals though, it does kind of seem to be a rinse and repeat process where accumulating more pals is actually encouraged by tying the base building aspect of the game to the pals. Not only are these pals clearly building things for the base, but you can see some of them even watering as well as completing other tasks around the base, which still begs the question, how deep does each pal's use case go? For example, I'm wondering if only specific pals are able to water the plants, or is any pal able to technically have that job? And we are still only talking about what they can do around your base. Some of these pals you can ride on, some of them you can fly with, some of them, if not all of them, have some combat abilities. So it is really exciting that there are still so many questions like that, which I don't think will technically be answered until everyone gets a chance to actually jump into the game. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have any ideas about how useful pals will be around the base or inside of the game. But the second tutorial we have to go over here goes over what powering up and training your pals will be like, and it gives us a lot more information than the previous one. Starting off with the basics, such as even a powerful looking pal at a low level will end up getting beat out by a higher level yet weaker pal. Before we talk about how exactly you are going to go about leveling up your pals, I want to pause the video here and briefly go over the entire inventory UI that we are looking at here. Starting from the top, we have the PAL sphere, which is being highlighted with a description that reads, only effective on low-level PALs, meaning there will be a capture sphere progression system. Next to the sphere, though, we see some arrows, which leads us over to the equipment side of this tab, where we see a bow and a glider alongside empty armor and equipment slots. Finally, on the far right, we get to look at what stats we can train, being health, stamina, attack, defense, work speed, and weight. I want to emphasize one thing here, that being work speed. This stat being in the game leads me to believe that the time to build things is going to play a big role in this game's gameplay loop. Let me know what you guys think about time-gated builds down in the comments, because I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that. But in the next frame of the tutorial, I want to pause again because we get a really good look at what we can expect from PALs in this game. I want to start off with what I think is the most interesting part, and that is here in the bottom right, we have the suitable work category, where it shows us 12 different methods of work that your PAL can be suitable for. Those being kindling, planting, handiwork, lumbering, medicine production, transport, watering, generating electricity, gathering, mining, cooling, and farming. Only 3 of which Anubis has highlighted, being handiwork, mining, and transport. So, questions I was posing to myself earlier are being answered right here. Yes, only certain PALs can do certain things, and honestly, I think this is one of the main things that is going to push this game over the top. There is a lot of depth here with these systems that they are trying to set up, which I think is going to really play a big part in driving player retention. Above suitable work, we have some more stats for Anubis, being health, hunger, sanity bar, as well as his regular stats. Everything is pretty straightforward here, except for the sanity bar. Let me know down in the comments if you have any ideas how this will end up working. But another thing on this screen that I wanted to highlight is this partner skill that they have over here. It says, and I quote, while fighting together, it provides the players attacks with ground, occasionally dodges attacks with a fast step during combat. Now, I personally cannot tell if this is 2 different effects or if it is just one, but to me it seems that it's 2 different passive effects, one which affects the player's attack, providing them with the ground element, and one which describes what Anubis will do, which is dodging every so often. I'm not really entirely sure what to make of that, but we do see that you are going to get some passive abilities that come along with your PALs. Alongside of that, your PALs will also have access to 3 active abilities. We still don't know yet whether it's just Anubis who can only have 3, and maybe stronger PALs can hold more abilities and weaker PALs can hold less abilities perhaps. But now that we have finally broken down these 2 images, let's go ahead and quickly talk about some more of the tutorial video here, moving into how to level up your PAL, which is through combat, which seems obvious. Certain level thresholds will end up teaching your PAL a new active skill, but this isn't the only way PALs can learn skills, because they can also be taught them through the use of skill berries. Not all of your PALs will end up working like Anubis though. There are some of them that can function as a form of equipment, like rocket launchers perhaps with these penguins, and some that are going to drop heals on you when you need them. Some PALs out in the wild are going to have elemental attributes which will change their look. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a more powerful PAL. Speaking of which, there are things called lucky PALs which seem to glow a bit and to me look much bigger than all of the ones around it. But it's also said that these are more powerful than the regular PALs. And just to add even more depth to this 11-layer cake here, we can sacrifice several Anubis PALs to power up the attributes of our main PAL. This game, I think, is going to be absolutely wild, and there are some extra things that have been confirmed outside of these tutorials, such as when your pal dies, it is gone forever. It's gone. It's dead. Also, it's been confirmed that you will be able to capture the boss pals roaming the game, which, again, I'm excited for. You see all the trailers and you see the bosses and you're like, man, I hope you can catch that. But you're thinking in the back of your head, like, you probably can't catch that. But it has been confirmed that you will be able to catch, they call them alpha pals. On top of all of that, there are certain species of pals that, when bred together, will create what is called a fusion pal, which is either one of two things. It's either just an elemental pal, or perhaps it's something more interesting like a different pal species altogether. I personally cannot wait to jump in and see what this game looks like on launch. There are a lot of really cool systems here, which I think, if put together properly, can function well. So hopefully the game comes out relatively bug-free and hopefully more optimized than Craftopia, which can get a little bit janky at times. I'm gonna be dropping tons of guides and how-to videos all about Palworld, so be sure to sub not to miss out on that. Also, hit like on this video if it helped you out at all. But that is all of the information that I wanted to go over in this video. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. I'm out.